It's Friday Eve. That's right, it's dark out. I'm going to try not to rush things. Sometimes I feel like I'm like a train when I film these videos. And I think that's because I don't like to waste people's time, but I enjoy watching a video, so I'm going to try to slow down my pace. And what I'd like to do this Friday Eve, is give you guys a pattern review of one of my Make 9 dresses. It jumped the line because I was going to sew this pattern in the summer, but I decided to use it for my Valentine's Day tunic. And I'm somewhat glad I did. So the pattern is the McCalls 8320. It has a gorgeous picture on the cover, and that's why I chose it. I really like, I wanted to do view B, which is the longer length dress, but I didn't have enough material, so I chose to do view A with view C's sleeves. And I have to say that there's a lot I liked about this pattern. The first thing are the Pintucks. I've never made Pintucks before, and I think they actually intimidated me. But after doing this pattern, I realized how easy it is. All you do is you take a square of fabric, like the pattern. The pattern gives you a pattern square to cut out, and then you fold over about an inch, and then you sew it down, and then you move about an inch further, and then you sew that down, and you just keep going along, and you fold and fold and fold until you get really cool Pintucks. Now you'll have a bit of a rectangle, and all you do then is you put the guide that looks like a bodice piece right on top of that, and you cut it out. So there you have it, one Pintuck, and that's how I did those. So I really like the texture too. The Pintucks give the top a really nice texture, a little bit different than your average top, and it looks more three-dimensional. And also putting in the button placard. I've tried those before a long time ago. I haven't done a placard recently, and I had a little trouble, and I don't know if it's been because I've been sewing for about a year now. But I just found this easy to put in. Maybe it's because I sort of know how to do them, right? So you just put them on the right sides together, and then you sew across, and you just flip it over, and you get that nice button placard. Now I actually put snaps in my shirt instead of buttonholes for two reasons. One is my buttonhole maker on my other machine isn't working, and I haven't figured out how to use the buttonholer on my new machine. And the other reason is I just thought I'd try snaps. I'm kind of going through a snap kick, and I really like them. So the Pintuck button placard part of the shirt, I am going to give an A+. So the reasons for that is that I just liked how the Pintucks worked, and the pattern did a good job of explaining it. And I also finally understand how to sew a button placard. I felt like it really came together well. So that part of the shirt, A+ for me. Now, let's move on to the sleeves. I chose the sleeves with the, it also has two Pintucks. And you'll see that I thought they would be a little more interesting. Somehow on the picture, it made it seem that you could really see those layers, but once I did them myself, the layers sort of disappeared, and the sleeve just looked too, it wasn't really kind of puffy. It just hung from my shoulders, out there. I did use a heavier material, but those Pintucks I was really hoping to see disappeared into the pattern, as well as the gathering. So you put in elastic at the bottom of the sleeve right there, and it's supposed to have a nice gather, but that disappeared under the Pintucks as well, so you can't even see that feature, at least for the version I did. I might play around with it. I think a shorter sleeve might work better, or maybe I'll find some of those fuzzy binding, the ones with like the little balls on it. Maybe I'll add some little balls around where those Pintucks are to make them more noticeable. Or actually, I have some trim left. Maybe I could try to put some trim on there so they're really distinctive. But I have to give the sleeves a C plus because I really expected more out of them and I just feel like they didn't deliver. So now we're going to move on to sizing and fit. So in general, the rest of the shirt, the rest of the top was rather big. So the back had a good 4 inches. Well, you know what? First, let me tell you. So sizing and fit. I chose a size XXL, and I chose that because I thought, well, maybe it's a little bit too big for me in the bust, but it should fit nicely around the waist and the hips. Those are my measurements. And it turns out what happened was it fits well in the bust, but the waist and below the bust was really baggy. There's a lot of ease under the bust in this pattern. And I'm sorry I didn't get a before picture so you guys could see what I meant, but I had to do some modifications. For instance, in the back, I had about 4 inches of ease that I felt that was just too much, starting from the shoulder blades all the way down to below my waist, right before the ruffle starts. So what I decided to do, and this is where my new dress form comes in. I actually have one now that's my size, and I can't tell you how much, how happy I am with it. And I probably should talk about that in a minute. But I put the shirt on the dress form, and I was able to see how much ease to remove in the back. So what I did is I created these 2 pleats, or I guess they're more like darts. So I created these 2 darts from my shoulder blade all the way down that are they end in about 1 inch thick, and they start there a dart, and that really helped trim some of that excess fabric in the back. And what I did in the front was a little trickier because of my form. I have a large rear that sticks out, and it tends to make what I wear, the hemline of what I wear always appears shorter in the back and longer in the front. And this looked really weird in this pattern. I really did not like the side profile because it was the gathers, the hem stopped mid rear in the back, and then below my, like to the top of my legs in the front. So it just looked very awkward. So what I ended up doing is the point in the middle, just below the Pintucks, there were like about 4 inches of fabric before the ruffles started. And what I did there is I just took about 2 inches of fabric and brought the whole thing up about 2 inches and then sewed another seam right there. So that's how I got it even. That's how I fixed this pattern. But there was a lot of work to get it to look the way I wanted to. So I'm going to give the size and fit. Let me see. I wrote down my ratings. Oh dear, I gave it a C minus. The reason that it actually didn't get a D is because one thing, it's my body and I shouldn't hold a pattern against that. And also, I actually had a lot of fun creating something different from the pattern form. So I got to do a lot of experimentation because I have my buddy now, and that was a lot of fun. So maybe I even need to upgrade that size and fit, maybe to a C plus. But I think overall, I would give it a B minus overall. So I think At some point, I will try this pattern again. It's not going in my outbox, but I also have so many different patterns to try that I will probably not do it for a while. So you might see it again this spring, but that is my review for my number 3 Make 9. Now, of course, that's not all I did this week. I also am still working on the peasant blouse I'm making. Actually, this is very similar to a peasant blouse because it does have the smock in the front that peasant blouse do. So this will be my third peasant blouse type. How many times can I say peasant blouse? Urgh. Slow down, Karen. So I haven't gotten very far with that because I did want to finish this Valentine's Day make for Valentine's Day, and I plan on wearing it. But I'm going to start with this one and should have it finished next week. The pattern, gosh, where is it? The pattern for this one is 7325, and this looks like a lot of fun. And also, the fabric I'm using is back to that blue fabric with the fish bones. This is my third shirt of that fabric. And I think it's going to turn out much better than this one. This is more like a really heavy quilting cotton, so that's probably the wrong fabric I chose. And I'm hoping this peasant blouse, I've made a peasant blouse before in a lighter fabric and loved it. So this one has a lot of potential. I'm very happy about that. So you guys come back next week and see if I'm happy with that. I think I should be. And I also have those pants. Remember those pants that fit the shorts? I am going to make a full pair of pants with the material I had shown you like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago with this beautiful gray wool type. I don't know if it's 100% wool, but it's a little thin, and I think they're going to make the perfect pants that are actually going to fit. So wish me luck and happy Friday. And let me ask you guys a question. What are you guys sewing? You ask me so many questions about what I'm working on, and I love to answer that, but I also would love to know what you guys are sewing. I know, well, let me know, and maybe I'll get some ideas from you about what to sew next. So thanks again. Happy Friday, and I'll see you next week. All right. Bye.